For many parents, deciding to separate is difficult enough, but explaining that decision to their children can feel even harder.
Yes, join us now to help guide parents through this is psychotherapist Dr. Richard Hogan. Doc, you're very welcome.
Thank you
very much for joining us. I mean, when we think of separating and divorce, it's obviously an incredibly sensitive topic. Yeah. It's very, very difficult for couples, but what we don't factor in sometimes are the kids. Yeah. So when is best to approach this with our children if we are thinking about going through something like that?
Yeah, it's a good question, Eric, and it's an important one. And it's the first thing we should factor in is the kids. You know, we brought these kids into life because we loved each other. Relationships are complicated and they're difficult. And if, you know, when you think about separation, often you hear people like myself saying, well, put the kids first, and which is an important thing to do, and tell them in a kind of an amicable way. But that's kind of complicated because if you were amicable and you were getting on, you probably wouldn't be separating. So there's lots of conflict in there, and there's lots of tension. There's loads of reasons why people separate, and there's a lot of hurt in there, Eric, you know what I mean? And so it's about trying to figure out that hurt separate from the children so that you can put the kids first. As I said, you brought them into life, you know, you have a responsibility to them. And the most important thing here is where I see it working as a family therapist is that you don't align them into adult themes. You don't bring them into your hurt. That's for your friends. That's for going to talk to somebody, whatever, you know, whatever's happened there. You need some place to sound that out, but that's not with the children. And I suppose we can also live in a kind of an anti-family environment at the moment where people say, it won't affect the kids. Of course it will, right? It's going to upset the children. It doesn't have to traumatize the children. And the trauma comes from how you're leading up to the separation and how you know, get on in the post-separation part. And it is possible, I think, even with the biggest amounts of hurt in there, to separate well enough so that the children can kind of validate their feelings, have that experience, and move on in their lives and go off and thrive in their lives.
Yeah, and I suppose, and if seeing the parents thrive as well would help them and not hold on to
and coping.
Guilt and hurt and things like that. But does the way you speak to children and tell them depend on what age they are? Because I would imagine that maybe if they're a bit older, it might be easier, but that's often not the case.
No, it's not the case. And often as you get a bit older, I was a bit older, my parents separated and all that, and you're kind of like left to process it. And it takes a long time maybe to figure that out. And so when you're younger, it might be even a little bit easier because your cognition isn't so developed and you don't understand dynamics between people. But when you're 15, 16 or 17, you're aware of what's been going on in the relationship because your cognition is sophisticated. You know the dynamics between your parents. And so it might come as a relief sometimes, you know, it might come because the tension might be so great, but you're still left with complicated questions. And when you're a bit older, you might say things like, you know, as we do, unfortunately, as Homo sapiens, was it because of me? Did I do something wrong there? You know, kids have a terrible tendency to internalise things and make it about them. Did I do something to upset the family dynamic here? And it's about really being clear in your language. This is nothing to do with you guys. This is about us. We've struggled a little bit in a relationship and we've decided together. So you're trying to be a united front, you know. We might be together separately now as a family, but we've decided to make this decision for the family and for the health of the family. And, you know, what people often say is nothing will change. Of course, things are going to change. You know what I mean? Of course they're going to change. And sometimes I hear parents saying to the children, you'll understand when you're a bit older. Now that's a kind of a nebulous thing to put into a child's head because then you feel kind of silly that you don't understand right now. And just watch your language because it really matters. Being clear is always so much more important to all of us in our communication than being a bit vague. Because you'll always go to some strange places when it's vague, you know.
So I imagine it's an extremely upsetting time for all families.
Of course,
but if your child reacts very, very negatively, what's the best way to approach that? Again,
allow for that to happen, you know what I mean? You can't manage their emotions and their feelings. And sometimes if a child doesn't react, doesn't mean that they're not nonplussed about it. But if a child has a big reaction to it, I would sit down with them and say, you know, what are you feeling? We're upset too about this, you know? So you want them to see that it's not that you're not sad, it's that you're sad and coping. We're upset about this too. This is a big change for all of us. What is it that you're feeling? Because generally it'll be about change, Eric. You know, the upset will be about where will the person who's leaving the house go? You know, so you're upset for mum or dad. Generally, maybe dad in that scenario. You know, where's dad going to go, and who's going to be with him? Is he going to be okay? Am I still going to go to my school? Will I still have my friends? And so what you're trying to do is just reassure in very clear language. Those things won't change. Yes, we have two separate houses here that you'll be moving from, and you'll be staying here mainly, and you'll be going over there, or depending on what way you kind of arrange it. And so you're just trying to be clear in a child's head because it's that vague stuff that makes them really heightened.
So stability and continuity as much as possible is very important.
Exactly, that's it. Yeah. Absolutely, and managing your emotions about each other.
Yeah.
Because as I said there at the start, of course you're conflicted, you're separating. Of course there's maybe a lot of hurt there, there's a lot of feelings there. Managing that separate from the children. Don't bring them into your adult themes. That's the stuff where trauma comes along. That's the stuff that upsets children for a ripple in the rest of their lives. Don't do that, right? And just think about, how do I work out these feelings? That's going to talk to somebody.
Even the most amicable of divorces and separations can have really devastating effects on children. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah, they can.
Their little family unit is gone. And
Exactly.
it's a whole new world for them.
This whole conscious uncoupling, I don't know, it cannot happen that well, let's say. But I think there are things that you can put in place where you can protect children from the devastation of that. And again, it's down to that idea that, look, we've had difficulties in a relationship. We just be clear, you've lived in with us. We've struggled a bit with that. We've decided for the benefit of all of us that we're going to live separately.
Can children sometimes be better off? I know there's an idea that's staying together for the kids, but can it be healthier for them, for parents to be apart if the relationship has turned toxic?
Elaine, absolutely. And sometimes relationships are very unhealthy. Yeah. And sometimes, as we know, we've talked here many times, there's a lot of coercive things going on in relationships, and there might be violent things going on in relationships, and there might be addiction going on in relationships. And sometimes it is for the safety of the children that separation has to happen. And so this idea of staying together for the kids, I would say often that is a very destructive thing for your children.
You're just supposed to see what's going on.
What they're
That's
seeing.
not the example.
Exactly.
Especially if parents are bickering and fighting.
Absolutely.
And just nastiness all the time.
And plenty of people separate and divorce, as we know, statistically wise, and you can do it in a way that's healthy. It's not that they won't be upset, of course they will, but that if you do it in a healthy way, they can thrive, everybody in the family unit, and then the family gets a bit bigger. There might be a blended family coming in, and siblings, and all these things coming into your life. It can be a situation where people thrive absolutely out of it.
I suppose it depends on the situation, but how do you navigate that time after the divorce? I imagine communication's incredibly important.
Well, communication, Eric, is at the root of everything that we do, and being clear about it and sticking to it. What actually happens, like I work with this all the time, is one parent might be a good time parent because they might feel a little bit guilty that the separation has happened.
And because they're probably...
They don't see the kids as much.
They don't see the kids as much.
Exactly.
It's kind of weekend parents,
And so they give away their parental agency, and so then they're a good time dad, let's say, or mom, and they're letting the kids on the devices and playing the games and buying them things and bringing... That's not what children need. They need those pillars. They don't want you to be their best friend. And even though you feel a little bit responsible for what has happened there, or guilty maybe, don't give away your agency as a parent. It's so important. Your children need you as those two pillars. You're just doing it. You're co-parenting. You're in different houses, but you have to hang on to that agency because your children will absolutely need it.
Okay.